Welcome to the Your Life, Your Voice YouTube channel. Proudly brought to you by the Diversity and Disability Program at the Migrant Resource Centre, Northwest Region, where self-advocates, organisations and the community interested in culturally and linguistically diverse and the disability sector get together.
The Diversity and Disability Program would like to acknowledge the Wurrung and Bunurong peoples of the Kulin Nation, the traditional owners of the land on which we work and live. We recognise their continued connection to land, water and the community. We pay our respects to elders past and present.
Nothing about us without us. We pay our respects to all self-advocates who have worked tirelessly over many years for the right to live in a community and for equality and human rights for all.
This channel is for all those seeking to understand more about disability culture and community, to hear and learn from leaders and peers with disability, and to improve our individual advocacy skills.
This channel also aims to provide useful information about organisations and supports so that we can all live a better life in this world.
Nothing about us without us.
Every interview is unique as you and I. Your life, your voice. Be the voice of change in your life. Good morning and welcome to another edition of Your Life, Your Voice. My name is Julie and I'd like to welcome my co-host, Anthony Recco. Hey, Anthony, how you doing?
Good, thank you, Julie. How are you feeling? I hope you're recovering.
Yeah, so I'm feeling a lot better, a bit more life into me now. So still in the recovery mode, but getting better. Thanks for asking. So today we thought we would do an information session on the 10 tips to being a strong advocate. So how do you feel about that, Anthony?
Yeah, great. I think a great topic, and this is what this channel is about. Really, is us all advocating for ourselves, and knowing what we need and making that happen.
Yes, so how about we go to the actual pamphlets? So yes, this is a resource from SARU, Self Advocacy Resource Unit, titled 10 Top Tips for Being a Strong Self-Advocate. This resource is from the Self Advocacy Resource Unit, 10 Top Tips for Being a Strong Self-Advocate. These tips are from self-advocates for Reinforce, Rainbow Rights, and the Positive Powerful Parents self-advocacy groups, which are groups that I'm really familiar with that do great work in the sector. Tip 1, believe in yourself. Believing what you do and know that you have the power to make change. What do you think about that, Anthony?
Yeah, well, I think that's an important part of advocating for yourself. You have to believe in yourself, and it's very important, because if you don't believe in yourself, then others won't as well. So you reflect what you want, really. Yeah, what's your thoughts about that?
I sort of like listen to a lot of things and try to learn from people's experiences. And a lot of people that are in the public speaking area, which is basically what we do, Anthony, even though it's on YouTube, it's still a form of public speaking. There's those that are really good at what they do. There's always an element of humility. because when you're doing things live or on YouTube, things happen. And I've been involved in the public speaking arena for quite a while now, and whatever happens while you're in control of that time, you have to deal with it. So, and part of it is believing in yourself. And what I've found from other public speakers, and they're very like, they're in the media, they're not, community type of things that we do, like we're pretty much amateurs compared to these people. But there's one thing that I take from their experiences is they have to believe in themselves and what they're saying. And there's a saying, fake it until you make it. So no one knows, like, it's like a bit of an acting thing, It's not that you're being deceitful. You just, it's like a technique that people use to alleviate anxiety and nerves. And, you just fake it till you make it. And there's something called also, for people that are really successful, they talk about the imposter syndrome. And I identify with that quite strongly because there's always a bit of, self-doubt, or am I good enough, or, these sort of things. But what I've found over the years is that I'm not faking it. And it's just a technique to get me through those times where I feel like I'm a bit nervous. And yes, do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, no, well, I think it's one of those things, fake it till you make it. It seems like sometimes it sounds like, you're, putting something on, but how I think about it is like, sometimes, in life you, maybe you have to go to work, you might have to go to school, sometimes you're not up to it, but, you've got to get out there and do it, and it's just a matter of sort of, getting yourself together, sort of, getting that drive to get out there and do things, and to believe that you're worth doing, that you're worth it, you're worth, putting yourself out there, and in whatever endeavor you're doing.
Like a lot of people in the disability sector have health-related issues, and we're all in the same boat. So one of the strategies I use in believing in myself is that when I'm not well, I still try and get up and show up. And a lot of my colleagues, that's what we do. So and it helps me move on and get over the health-related issue that I have at that time. So believing in yourself is essential to like building up your immune system also, because when you're feeling a bit not well and stuff. I mean, like we're talking off air, I had a bad night's sleep, and not feeling that crash hot, but here I am, with Antony, because we have deadlines, we have obligations. So here we are, not feeling 100%, and just doing what we need to do in life. And so I think it's a sign of strength when you sort of like show up regardless of how you're feeling. So how about we move on? Okay, so know your rights, which is a very important point. When you know your rights, it is easier to stand up for yourself, and you can teach each other. You can teach other people about rights. Self-advocacy groups are a good place to learn about rights. Okay, Anthony.
That's a big one. So this knowing your rights is very important, because then you know that this is whatever, well, I'll give you an example. I have a lot of issues with catching Ubers and taxis with a guide dog, and know my rights, and I know Disability Act and different parts of the legislation. I know what my rights are with having a guide dog, having access to taxis and Ubers, and that gives me, the power to be able to speak on something that is actually, written in legislation. So I also actually have a card. It's an ID card. It has my name and my guide dog's name on the front, and it has all the relevant legislation written on the back as well. And I have had to use that a few times to when, taxi or cab Uber drivers deny because I have a guide dog, and I show them the card, and I tell them, actually they're breaking the law, they're being unlawful by not providing me access, and I show them the card with all the legislation, and then they they basically back down and take me. But yeah, it's very, very important to know what your rights are.
Yeah, it's really interesting because the guide dogs have been around for a very long time now. It's probably the most recognised disability in Australia.
Yeah, and yes, you're right. Guide dogs have been around a very long time, and you would think that things like this wouldn't happen as much as it does, but it happens. Well,
How often does it happen?
I catch a taxi or Uber.
So does it happen, I don't know, 1 in 10 trips or 1 in 100 trips, or how often?
Well, basically 1 in 4 trips or even more.
That's actually quite a high rate.
Yeah, and one time I actually had 4. I was waiting at the Flinders Street taxi rank, and 4 taxis in a row denied me access.
Yeah, I just wonder whether there's a reporting system, but because of your disability, I suppose taking a photo of people's license number will be quite difficult to manage.
Yeah, so that's the big that's one of the issues with catching the taxi from a taxi rank, because you don't know what taxi company it is that denied you. And yeah, like you said, it's hard for me to just pull out my phone and take a photo.
So
But
could you do a little report for the taxi directorate?
yes, there are places to make complaints, but I guess without sort of getting the taxi number and their registration and things like that, it's kind of hard for them to do anything. because, you know, they don't know who to basically fine, because there are fines for it.
Mm.
And Uber, Uber is different because you actually book them, you know, via your mobile phone. And when it happens with Uber, they do follow it up with the driver, and they suspend them until they've had disability training. And then they say if it happens again, then they will be taken off the Uber platform permanently, which, you know, I don't know whether that happens or not. It's just, you know, one of the replies we get when making a complaint.
I know that, like, yeah, I'm just thinking that you can book taxis also, taxi companies, and I suppose they'll have, if you do it that way, and that's not ideal if you're waiting at a taxi rank, but if you book a taxi and they accept the fare, then you would have a record of who is actually
Yes, that's right. And I've had issues with that too, because I've called taxis and then the taxi will drive past and see that I've got a guide dog and then just keep driving. And then they'll say that I wasn't there to be picked up.
yeah,
They'll,
so
you know,
anyway, how about we move on?
yeah.
We talk hours about these things. Let's have a look. So number 3, learn about self-advocacy. So learn about self-advocacy and the changes that other self-advocates have made. You can learn by joining a self-advocacy group and being part of a self-advocacy network. So, as we know, we are part of diversity and disability. So we are part of that self-advocacy group, but we're also connected to SARU and a lot of other self-advocates. And sometimes we have projects together and we get to know each other. And yes, so it's very satisfying knowing our colleagues and supporting each other in a very in a very genuine way. So, Antony, what are your experiences about joining self-advocacy groups?
Well, I think it's great because you get to hear how other people handled certain situations, and then you can kind of take that on board and sort of say, hey, yeah, that was a good approach, you know, around this issue and how to, you know, go about it. And I think, you know, that's really valuable to just to be able to share those sort of tips and the experiences, even you know, hearing that other people are going through the same thing, and you know, makes you feel like, you know, you're not the only one, you're not alone, you know, you've got people to sort of talk to that, you know, understands the types of things you may be going through. Yeah, it's been great, you know, being with D&D. You know, I've learned so much, and it's been, yeah, extremely valuable.
Yeah, so I like the learning from others. There's no greater learning curves and learning experiences by hearing people speak and just supporting each other. Anyway, let's move on. 4, speak up. Don't be scared to speak up and tell people what you think. If you don't speak up, then your voice will not be heard. So, a very important point, speak up.
It is. And, I guess, a lot of us probably have had a situation where we haven't spoken up for ourselves, and because I know I have, and you just aren't given the help that you very much needed at that time. There would be situations when going to school where I couldn't see the blackboard to be able to do to do the classwork. And, I didn't tell the teacher that, hey, I have a vision problem, I can't see the blackboard. So is there anything you could do to, help me? So I basically, I was young at the time, and didn't know how to bring things like that up. I guess there was a bit of, I didn't want to draw attention to myself with other classmates and things like that. So I guess, and then by not speaking up, I basically would just doodle the whole class and pretend I'm writing stuff in my book, and basically not learning anything. So that's one example of it's important to speak up for yourself.
I think I had the same experiences in school. I could find the glasses, I couldn't see, and that was a bit difficult. Yes, so speaking up. Well, we're speaking up. As a woman from a cold environment, cold in culturally and linguistically diverse, and also very cold, as in cold. So as a woman from this environment, I was deemed and considered my opinions were not valid, were not useful, were stupid, were degrading. Even if I did not have a disability, it still would have been the same attitude, minus disability. And all the women in my family have suffered as a consequence of this attitude. So I think from my perspective, obviously I'm the one that broke free and managed to have a life, have a career, have everything that I wanted in my life. So I think that's a great achievement for anyone. Yes, so and I even though I was shut down most of my life, I still managed to have a voice, even though that voice was considered aggressive, because I had to fight for everything. I had to fight for everything, for all my opinions, for my ideas, for everything I have, everything I did. It was quite a challenging and draining life that I have led. So now I sort of bask in knowing that I'm free from that environment. Yes, so anyway, so point 4, very important, speak up.
Yes, and a saying that I like is the squeaky wheel gets the oil.
Yes, so that's very good actually, because because I used to, I don't think I kicked up that much of a stink, but I think when you're constantly being picked on and there is a tipping point, and I did have to use quite aggressive ways. And look, I'm not ashamed of anything I've done because it was a mechanism to cope. But
for sure.
now I don't have to be that way, and I haven't had to be that way for a very long time. So yes, but I'm still quite wary when I meet these people anywhere that the old Julie does not come out. So there's also that element. So and we move on. Okay, so we have tip number 5. Be passionate. So talk about issues that you are passionate about and believe in what you do. It is easier to do the work when you care about what you are doing. Very important point. Now, we've already discussed about Antony's ideas because he's passionate about getting a taxi, getting home. But yeah, I think passion is a very powerful thing to encompass because when you have passion, you have a purpose. And when you have purpose, you have a meaning to get out there and do something with whatever issue is affecting your life. And if it's affecting your life, guess what? It's affecting other people's lives. So by doing something for yourself, you're actually assisting a lot more other people that you may never meet or may never know. Any thoughts, Anthony?
Yeah, passion is not, a huge thing. Like, for example, I'm passionate about technology, and therefore, I like to use. Well, I find technology to help me in my everyday life, and I like helping others with technology issues, or finding the right sort of tool for a particular challenge somebody may have. That's a big passion of mine. Another passion of mine is disability advocacy, and I guess that's why Julie and I here this morning, is because we do have a passion for advocacy and disability, and people, the challenges that people from CALD backgrounds have, and that drives us to have that fire in our belly and things like that, which I think is very important.
At the moment, I've got a passion for a song I wrote about sexuality and disability. I'm passionate about finding ways to bring that to life, and I'm hoping that Antony and a few others will be a part of that. So look out for it, guys. Hopefully we can advertise it down the road. 6, go to meetings and events with a positive attitude. When you are positive people are more likely to listen to you, and it's easier to make change. Yeah. So Antony, be around positive people.
Yes, so definitely. So you've got to walk into a meeting or a room with a positive attitude, because you you want positive energy back. So it's like if you walk in to a room with a, more of a negative kind of vibe to you, then, more than likely you're not going to get a good result. So, positive energy is always, the way to walk in, even if the situation may be very like a situation that makes you angry or upset. You can always sort of find a way to make yourself be in a positive sort of mindset or state. So, even if it's like, okay, I'm walking in here and say you're making a complaint or something, I'm walking into this meeting in this room, I need to make this complaint. I'm going to state my point calmly, collectively, listen to what other people have to say, and also, feel good about yourself that you're, actually going in and doing something like that. I think, those are all that type of energy to take into, meetings and whatnot.
Look, with disability and disabled people, we all have our own, personalities and ideas and cultures, and like, the point I'm trying to get is that you're not always going to get along with everyone, and that's fine. What's most important, that you treat people with respect and dignity, and if you can't agree on things, you just agree to disagree and move on. And it's happened to all of us, I think, to some degree, and try to be the bigger person and go into the meeting with people you may not think may be supportive, with a positive attitude and a can-do attitude. A can-do attitude always defeats anything. So that's a very important take-home point.
Yeah, definitely good points.
Don't let knockback stop you. When people knock you back, keep going and learn from the experience. We all have had hard days. Don't let hard days stop you from speaking up. Yes, so within disability and sector, a lot of us have had knockbacks from trying to get work. I know I did for a very long time, and I got very depressed, and I had to basically try and pull myself out of that depression. I got really sick in the process, and that was part of the constant knockbacks. And I'm not talking about one knockback. I'm talking about probably about 2 decades worth of knockbacks. But yes, so it was a very difficult time for me to deal with. And I've been in the disability sector actually from that point. So that was about 2011. And I've gone from strength to strength in a lot of areas of my life. So I've had comments like I've become much more diplomatic in the way I deal with people. And because, like I said before, you're not going to agree with some people. And so, yes, so my meetings, I'm in charge of a lot of things with meetings, and I don't see myself as a leader per se, but because I coordinate things, I suppose I am a leader to a degree. Being a leader, sometimes the word leader challenges me, because I work in a collaborative manner. I think that we are all leaders to some degree, Antony and Larissa, we support each other very well. And sometimes I'm not in a good headspace. Sometimes other people are in good spaces. So we're all leaders to some degree. Any thoughts, Antony?
Yeah, definitely. Knockbacks is a really difficult thing. They can be, big knockbacks that affect you a lot more than others. But yes, it is important to be resilient. And I'm not saying that, you have to bounce back straight away from a knockback. Take the time to, take the time that's needed for yourself to, care for yourself. If you need to step away for a minute, that's okay. But, when you're ready to get back in again, then, jump in. It's up to you to, and it's sort of the conversation you have with yourself. You can reflect on things in your mind, around a certain knockback. Think maybe, okay, that was a difficult situation. Okay, what can I take out of this? Was there anything that I could have improved on of this, or was it just that somebody else was, maybe discriminating, or something like that? Am I going to let this affect me, or how much am I going to let this particular thing affect me? And then sort of work through it in your mind, and give yourself that time to be upset about it. That's okay too. But yeah, just try to at the end of the day jump back and get back on that horse, as they say.
Well, knockbacks are a part of life, and certainly in a lot of cases I've seen, including mine, it builds resilience. And building resilience is a very important skill to have. It's a very important life skill to have in your toolkit. Things didn't go my way. Some things went my way, some things did not go my way, But, and I did a lot of what Anthony said, reflection and, all that sort of stuff. And yes, so, I know 20 years seems like a long time, and it is a long time, make no bones about it. But it's how you move on and get to the other side. It may take you a week, it may take you a day, a week, a month, it may take longer. You may have to go through lots of different channels and different programs, and to figure out how to bounce back. And that's fine. It's all called our journey in life. How about we move on? So point H, when the work is hard to talk to someone you trust. Get support from other self-advocates, a friend, a group worker, or a counsellor. It can help to talk to people when you feel down. Okay, so getting support, Antony, when you feel down.
Yeah, so this is really important, because everybody needs that support person, or people, or group of people in their lives that supports them, and somebody that you can offload your thoughts and feelings to that, understands you and sort of, won't be judgmental or, they're just really there to be a support. And I guess that, yourself would be a support person for somebody else maybe, but having those support networks is really important, even when you need to go into meetings and things like that. Just having somebody there with you that supports you can really help a lot. I guess I really don't, I value my friends and family that support me, and they're, I feel like I don't think I could have gone through certain things without that support.
Yeah, and the good thing about support within the self-advocacy space is that there are workers dedicated to support self-advocates. I know that they are in, I think, all self-advocacy groups. And so, yes, so there are resources designed to help us out if we get stuck. And there's a really lovely song called We All Need Someone to Lean On. And that's human nature. It's not because of disability. We all found out through COVID that, we need human connections and someone to lean on. So yes, don't feel ashamed or don't feel afraid or reluctant to seek help when needed.
Yeah, and it's a sign of strength, not weakness, to ask for support and help.
Absolutely, good point. Focus on the future and the changes you want to make. Sometimes the work is hard. If you focus on the changes you want to make, it is easier to keep going. So Anthony, what do you think about that?
Yeah, so focusing on the changes you need to make. So I guess with that, you have to know what you're wanting to change in your life, and then sort of see what the changes are to be made. So because you're giving that focus to it, it gives you a better understanding of what your needs are. For example, when I was doing my university course, there was particular course material that wasn't accessible to me. It was kind of a visual slide sort of quiz type task we had to do, and it wasn't accessible. So I understood that I couldn't do that particular quiz because it wasn't accessible, and the changes I needed was basically an accessible version of it, which I found out they did have, and they did provide. So I asked for that. So yeah, I guess that's knowing the changes that I needed for that particular circumstance.
Yeah, there's a really lovely cartoon about that, about making an even playing field. So, you know, it's sort of depicted as a short person leading a ladder, and then so they can see like over the fence. And so it's a really quite a famous cartoon. It's used quite often in the accessibility disability sector when we're educating able-bodied people, actually. Yes, so which is work I'll be doing soon in different councils around Melbourne. Yeah, so and we're up to point 10. Do what you can. Don't worry if the changes you want to make are big. Take small steps and do what you can. Very important point.
Yes.
Especially when you're not feeling too well. And, you know, getting out of bed may be a problem, you know. Getting ready to go to work may be a problem. But, you know, you may need to negotiate with people to start later at work so that you could have that even playing field. Yes, so what are your thoughts, Anthony?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think just take one step at a time. They say, you know, how do you climb a mountain? You know, you just put one foot in front of the other. And, you know, things can be broken down into smaller pieces. You know, you can look at the next step in front of you, and then once you take the next step after that, before you know it, then, you know, you've achieved your destination. So yeah, I guess it's trying not to get overwhelmed by the bigger picture, and just you know, take those small little important steps, because those are what matters.
Yes, so, you know, a marathon starts with one step, you know, and focus on the journey and be proud of that step that you've taken. You know, for some people, getting out of bed is a major achievement, you know, for that day, you know. And so be proud of that, and you know, set your sights on other things, on the next step.
Yeah, you're right, and celebrating each step, and yeah, you know, because each step is actually that stepping stone to, you know, a bigger journey.
Yes, so I try to encourage people who are a bit like nervous to take steps, and a lot of them have taken, you know, those little steps, and you know, I'm proud that I somehow influenced them to take a step in their journey in life. So we have come to the end of our session. It was a very good session, Anthony.
Yeah, I think it was great.
Very important on how we can become stronger self-advocates. So on that note, I will we'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, and if anyone out there watching has any ideas for topics we can discuss, or people that they think that would be interesting for us to interview, then please let us know in the comment section. And if you could possibly press the like button, that would, you know, help this channel to grow, and press the subscribe button, and have a great week, everybody.
See you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Catch us on Your Life, Your Voice channel fortnightly or on demand.
We would like your comments and suggestions on topics you would like us to explore. Leave your comments on the YouTube comments section.
Diversity and Disability is a program of the Migrant Resource Centre Northwest Region Incorporated.
And would like to thank the management for funding this program and channel.
Phone number 1300 676 044.
Please feel free to email us on dndyourlifeyourvoice@gmail.com or contact us via the Migrant Resource Centre Northwest Region Incorporated.